If somebody told you that there was a petition to sign about Chase Ingraham commentating at CrossFit events, well, they were wrong. There's actually two. Welcome back to the channel, and as much as I'd love to be talking about Colton Mertens and his incredible performance at day 2 of the Granite Games, something else caught my attention. So this is Chase Ingraham. Now, if you don't recognize this handsome face, you probably know his voice, whether it's from the CrossFit Games podcast, Get With The Programming podcast, or commentating at CrossFit events. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. You may have seen a petition going around trying to have CrossFit remove Chase from commentating at their events. Now, before we start speaking about that, I'd just take the opportunity to thank you for watching the video. If you like it, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you can, share it around, go and check out some of the other videos if you haven't seen them. Any help to make the channel grow so that when I reach out to people like Chase, who did get back to me, it just becomes a little bit easier, kind of the more people that are backing the channel. So thank you. And as always, if you see a story that you want to know more about, send it my way because I'm more than happy to do the research for you. So after day 1 of the Granite Games, Alex Parker was not happy with Chase Ingraham's commentary. And she took to Instagram to say as much. In a couple of stories, she was asking if there was a petition that she could sign to have someone remove Chase from his position working at these CrossFit events. And apparently this has been an ongoing frustration, as she was referencing also back to the 2021 CrossFit Games and his work there, and also a podcast that they put out talking about it and the responses that they had had. Now, some of the specifics she mentions, or the frustrations she has, so she claims he undermines the athletes, that he's extremely negative, that he tries to make predictions, and if they go his way, then he sort of says, I told you so. And she then made a comparison to golf commentary. Now, I don't really watch golf, so I'm not going to weigh in on that, although I don't think it's quite accurate what she was saying, because if it's anything like any other commentary I've seen on any sports I have watched, generally they do make predictions about what the person should do, and if they don't do it and they make a mistake, or if they do it and it goes well, quite often the commentator will, I don't want to say take credit, but sort of point out that, you see, it was a good observation, a good guess. It just helps to show that they understand what's happening or what people should be doing in certain situations. Another point that she raised was kind of the jokes, the fact that they make a lot of jokes during the stream, and they don't really like that. The idea that it should be about the athletes and not the commentators. Another observation she made was that you don't learn anything about the athletes. You can watch for 2 hours, particularly some of the lower heats, or again, teams, early heats there as well. Particularly yesterday, they were long events, and there was a lot of time where you were watching the competition, and yes, you're not learning anything about the athletes competing. So eventually there wasn't a petition, and she basically said, well, instead of just talking about it on Instagram, I'm going to start a petition, because the options are either get rid of Chase, or the alternative is to watch it on mute or not watch these events. Now, before we look at some of the elements of these criticisms in more detail, I would add that I did reach out to Alex and asked if she had anything else to say on the matter at all. She felt that she'd already made a strong case, but she did want to add that it wasn't a personal vendetta and that she's not questioning Chase's character. She said, just because they've done something for a long time doesn't mean they are the best at it. She also mentioned that CrossFit's being quite vocal in saying they want the sport to be perceived as more professional, and that this would be a good place to start. Now, if you read the actual petition, it has now, well, when I checked, it was getting close to 500 signatures. And if you read through the petition, you'll see, again, similar sentiments are brought out there. So that is one side of the argument. Well, I also reached out to Chase, and he got back to me, and we had a little bit of a chat. He didn't really have much to say on the matter, to be honest. He said he was focused on working over the weekend. He's not really paying attention to these other comments, and he kind of feels that his resume speaks for itself. Now, in the meantime, in walks Andrew Hiller. He started a petition of his own to keep Chase working at CrossFit events, and that petition now has well over 1,000 signatures. So let's just look at some of the points that Hiller highlights that contrast with what Alex has said. For example, he starts, Chase is one of the few remaining individuals who knows and understands CrossFit from multiple avenues. So that's interesting. Alex's claim is that he lacks the knowledge and experience, whereas Hiller is saying he knows it from multiple avenues. Well, what do the facts reveal? So let's take a quick look at Chase's resume. Well, he made it to the games in 2010. He's had 3 years as an individual regional athlete, 2 years on a regional team, coached 4 games teams, 7 regional teams, 1 Masters Games athlete. He's owned an affiliate for over a decade. He's been on the seminar staff for 7 years, plus, a decade of broadcasting. So he's got a lot of experience, and I guess that leads on to Hiller's next point about, if we remove him, who do we replace him with? Probably somebody who doesn't understand the sport. And I mean, that is the danger. If you want to go for a super professional broadcaster who's got years of experience broadcasting sports, CrossFit probably isn't going to be like any sport they've ever talked about, right? So yes, they might have, all the experience on mic, but are they going to understand the events? Are they going to be able to put themselves in the shoes of these athletes? But going back to some of Alex's previous points, I do feel there is some valid criticism about CrossFit commentary in general. But I don't think you can blame Chase. So, for example, not learning anything about the athletes. Well, unlike other sports that would have a fixed roster of players, and maybe there's some rotation through substitutions and things like that, but generally over a season, you've got a certain number of athletes. It's pretty easy to know stuff about them. You know who's going to be there. You know what teams they've played on in the past, or kind of what their experience is. But think about CrossFit semi-finals. You have 30 athletes on the elite men, 30 on the elite women, the teams. Now, these athletes have all punched their ticket through quarterfinals. Well, the open, quarterfinals, now semifinals. So you don't know who's going to be there. And that's obviously magnified over multiple semifinals. So who should be doing the research? And if you think about it, how many athletes don't even update their CrossFit Games profile? So you go on and you look at their listed max lifts, for example, and you know that you've seen them lift more than that in a competition. So it's clearly outdated. Well, I don't think it's the commentators that need to be going away and doing that research, is it? There is a broadcast team. So if they're providing the information, they can relay it. If they don't have that information, there's not a lot they can do. And then you have to remember that the commentators are a slave to the broadcast just as we are. They can see what we can see. So if the camera is only focusing on 2 athletes and they've got some interesting facts about an athlete in another lane that the camera just isn't panning to, what should they do? Should they talk about that other athlete? Wouldn't some consider that disrespectful to the athletes that are on the screen? So you're kind of in a catch-22 situation there, right? And then going back to the idea of making predictions, I mean, ultimately, that's what they're getting paid to do. You have to think about the thousands of people that are watching these events that have no idea what it's like to compete at that level or what these athletes are capable of. So they don't know if that athlete who's in first place and started going unbroken on the next movement, is that a good idea? Is that a bad idea? Is that very normal? Is that incredible? They need people to fill in the gaps, to make the predictions of, well, they're probably going to go unbroken, or they're probably going to break this up. And if they do it, then we understand, okay, they're following kind of a normal strategy. If they don't do it, that can be interesting. Wow, how come that athlete's doing this, considering the commentators said they were going to break it up? It provides flavor to those that know a lot less than us. And then that goes back to Hiller's point. If we remove Chase, who do we replace him with? Are we just going to have somebody who is counting reps for us, just telling us what we can see? Oh, yeah, they're back doing some more pull-ups. I mean, okay, but I can see that. What we want is someone with experience to tell us what's happening or what's about to happen or what we should be looking out for to see, so that we have an idea of the action. We know that, well, maybe he's in the lead at the moment, but the next movement, he's pretty weak at that in comparison to other people on the field. And then you need to think about the bigger picture regarding the broadcast. I mean, just go to the comments section and hear what people are asking. There are many people there that have never done CrossFit themselves. They're just watching it as a spectacle. They've got people asking, well, what heat is Tia in? Well, Tia's already qualified. Hey, is this athlete from another part of the world competing at the Granite Games? No, because these are regional-based events. So it shows that for many people, they don't have the knowledge that you might have when you watch a CrossFit event. And that's what the commentators are there to do. They're to fill in the gaps for those people. Again, is it even a big deal, these petitions? So we've got 1,000 people saying keep Chase, 500 people saying get rid of him. But yet on the day 2 of the Granite Games broadcast, we have almost 380,000 views on that video. So the large majority are probably not paying attention to this petition at all. Should CrossFit? I don't know. What about this comment of people getting people's names wrong or cracking jokes on the stream? Well, if we want to get rid of people that do that, we've got to remove the entire broadcast team. There is not one commentator out there that doesn't crack jokes that isn't getting people's names wrong. We see it happen at all the semi-final events, at all the games events. That is the nature. So if we want to remove that kind of behavior, you don't start and stop with Chase Ingraham. You'd have to cut everyone across the board. And that kind of leads on to my final thought, because, Alex said it's not personal against Chase, but it feels pretty personal. A number of the criticisms, and some that I even agree with, apply across the board to people that are broadcasting CrossFit events. And then let's look at the bigger issue here. Why make this petition in the first place? Well, Alex said the alternative was not watching the games or watching it on mute. Well, what if she gets her own way? What if they get rid of Chase? Chase, a husband, a father, he gets fired, he loses his job, a means of income and support for his family because someone didn't agree with his style of commentary. If you're worried that he's undermining the athletes, well, what are we doing to Chase? I mean, it's something to think about, isn't it? Anyway, that's all I've got to say. Enjoy the rest of the semi-finals, and hopefully I'll see you for another video.